Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the SYA Admissions Hangout tonight. I am Kate Martell, Admissions Marketing Manager, and tonight I have two special guests with me. Would you ladies like to introduce yourselves?
I'm Lauren Durr, Associate Director of Admissions.
And I'm Donna Fitzgerald, Assistant Director of Admissions, and also the parent of an SYA China alum.
Great, thanks, ladies. So for those of you who haven't been on a Hangout with us before, we're going to do some Q&A with Lauren and Donna, and then we're going to open the floor up to you all. So if you haven't posted your questions in the chat box below, please feel free to do that, and we will do our best to get to those questions after some Q&A. So for those of you who are just joining us, LJ, do you want to talk a little bit about SYA, give us an overview, and tell us a little bit about what SYA offers?
Absolutely. School Year Abroad is a year-long academic homestay program for students during your junior or senior year of high school. Congratulations to you. You already have students who are highlighting the strengths that it takes to be successful at SYA. That is being courageous, adventurous, willing to go explore the world beyond their home school. And those are the students that we're looking for and the students that we find that are the most successful. So thank you for joining us tonight. SYA really is an opportunity for your son or daughter to not only learn another language, but to learn more about another culture. They have a unique opportunity through the host family experience to feel like they belong to a community. And that is really what SYA strives to be, is a community of students living and learning together and getting the most out of this cultural and linguistic experience.
Great, thanks, Elton. So now we're going to hear a little bit from Donna. Donna, you mentioned that your daughter Karina went to SYA China 2012.
She did.
From what you know from then and now, do you want to talk about what makes SYA special from those experiences?
Well, SYA is unique. There really isn't any other organization out there or program that's doing quite what we do here at SYA. And I will just mention that SYA brought my daughter's experience at SYA brought me to SYA. So I didn't work for this incredible organization before she left for China.
That's a good point.
It is, yeah. So it's very unique in that students stay with the host family, as Lauren mentioned, and it's a complete and total immersion. So each year, SYA accepts about 60 students to attend each one of their schools in China, France, Italy, and Spain. And these students come from all over the U.S. So students are building lifelong friendships with students from all over, sometimes the world. And of course, they're going to make new friends, you know, through their host siblings and the schools, the countries that they're living in. But I just found that there was no other way for my daughter to really be immersed in another language and culture like this. It's not the same experience that students have when they wait until they go to college, where they're traveling mostly with friends from their school for a semester or whatnot. They're not immersed in this way. SYA has 4 schools, as I mentioned, and 2 of them you can go to as beginners. SYA China, you can go as a beginner and be fluent by the end of the school year. SYA Italy is the same. SYA France and Spain have a 2-year high school language requirement because classes are taught there in the host language, except for math and English. And we take the classes that are taught in math and English are taught by U.S. teachers that we take from some of the best private schools in the U.S. They come with us to our schools to teach these subjects. And we're happy to say that we do offer an environmental science in all of our schools this year too, which is a great way. So students have the opportunity to stay on track, graduate with credit, and come back to their home schools, right, and stay on time. Yeah, stay on track.
Thanks. So another question that we get quite often is about host families, and I see that someone's already asked about that on the chat. That's what I'm monitoring. So if you have questions, please feel free to put them in, and we'll address them at the end if we haven't already. So LJ, do you want to tell us a little bit about how that host family process works?
Absolutely. I think what separates SYA from any other organization out there is the home stay component. It is something that our alums talk about as being probably the most important piece of their experience, because as you see a host family, they are the students' access into the language, the culture, and the travel that they're able to do even. So we believe very strongly in matching students with appropriate host families. We have a thorough process. We have a host family coordinator at each one of our schools who works alongside our resident director when making placements. Once students are accepted into SYA, there are a lot of forms that you fill out, as you can imagine. One of those forms is called the Parents Memorandum, which is a form that parents fill out. And it asks questions like, what is your home life? What is the makeup of your family? What kind of family is your son or daughter looking for? A family with children, without children, a big family, a small family, any eating, like dietary restrictions that a student might have, really allowing us to learn more about your family and what kind of family your student's looking for abroad. We then have students fill out something called the Host Family Placement Questionnaire, which is the same form. It's amazing how they differ in terms of responses. But we take all that information, we share it with our sites abroad, and then all of the placements are done in country. I will say, based on my experience here, going into my 6th year, I am amazed at how well we are able to place students on the first try. Students, find that they're walking into a family that really welcomes them with open arms. They treat our students as their own sons and daughters.
Absolutely.
And they are an extension of their family. And I will say this is not just for the 9 months that they are living in France or Spain or Italy or China. For many of our students, this is a lifelong friendship that they build with another family. Students will go back to visit their host families. Host families will come to the U.S. So this is really the start of a really beautiful friendship for a lot of our students. So it is a thorough process. All of our families are vetted. You can trust that they're all doing this for the right reason. They want to share their culture with an American student. And I think it's also important to remember that your students bring a lot to the table for these local families as well. They also grow their world. So it's a relationships on both sides that is beneficial, I think, to both parties.
Donna, would you say that your daughter has gone? I know she has gone.
She
She
has. She's been back 3 times since she went to SYA, and she just turned 21. So it's not like she's. This is in the short period of time she has already been back 3 times since, and has always gotten in touch with her host family. Wonderful people. I had the opportunity to meet them and have dinner with them one Sunday afternoon, and it was just. It was wonderful to just see how much they really cared about my daughter, and what a wonderful relationship that she had with them and her host sibling. She had a younger brother, and she keeps in touch. It's a lifelong connection, and I can speak from experience with my daughter, but also I can tell you that alums that I meet on the road and at our receptions and gatherings, I mean, they will all tell you that this is like having a second family abroad. These are people that want you to keep in touch in return. And I met someone at our New York City reception last week that said they had been actually hosted the whole family. The whole family's actually moving here, but and they bought a place in New York. But so it's just very close relationships, bonds that people have. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So when students aren't in school and they're not spending time with their host families, we offer extracurriculars in each of our schools. And I know some of you have asked about that and what students do in their free time. LJ, do you want to talk a bit about extracurriculars?
Yep. So I would say, I think the things that our students do inside the classroom are sometimes just as important as the things they do outside the classroom. The average student nowadays is involved in a wide range of activities, and that's what we want. We want a well-rounded student, and we want that to continue at SYA. So we have an activities coordinator on our staff in each of our 4 schools who works with students to identify opportunities within the local community, whether that be sports, arts, music, really anything you can dream of, with the exception of lacrosse, which I don't play in Europe. But I mean, other than that, I've had students who have been successful in a wide range of things. Soccer, ice hockey,
Swimming,
dance, swimming, tennis, playing musical instruments, in really high level, actually, across the 4 schools. So anything your son or daughter wants to do, I would encourage them to let us know, and we will work with you to identify opportunities in advance. But again, once they get there in the fall, they'll work with the extracurriculars coordinator, who will pair them up to get involved. Also, the other thing that we can do is community service opportunities are available to students. In France, we have a wonderful program where our students volunteer at a retirement home. And I just met with a student last week, and she said it was like the highlight. And it was so unexpected for her, but she looked forward to it every week. So there's a lot of things that students can do, and we, as an organization, really believe in supporting our students through their extracurriculars.
And I'm sure got a really interesting perspective on French history and all of that firsthand.
Well, it's true. Plus, when you're getting involved in extracurriculars, that's your opportunity to meet with local students.
Right.
So it's a chance to really strengthen your language skills outside of the classroom. I have a good friend who went to SYA France many years ago now. He got into rock climbing, and he had never done that before, but loved doing it there. And he said that's how he met all his French friends. And many of those people he's still in touch with. So.
Yeah. And for those of you who haven't checked it out, I'm sure your children have, but if you visit our blog, we actually have a few profiles up of students who have continued things from golf to violin to dance. And I know the dancer is dancing at the conservatory in Rennes, and I believe the violinist is as well. So feel free, info.sya.org is our blog site, and you can check that out for lots of different profiles on some of the things that our students are doing now.
The blogs are fantastic.
Yeah, the blogs are really great. If you haven't checked them out, please take a few minutes and read through some of what our current students are doing. We have campus reporters at each of our 4 schools, and they give us their firsthand accounts of what their daily life is like, what their extracurriculars are like, what they've done over winter break. And there's visuals, there's videos and photos, as well as articles on there too. So go and check those out.
They're pretty busy kids.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of cool stuff. Okay, so another common FAQ for those of you who are just joining us, we're answering some FAQs, and then we'll be answering your questions. So feel free to put those in the chat box if there's something that we haven't covered already. But now we're going to talk a little bit about college. Big question usually with parents.
Yeah, it is.
Donna, what kind of support do students have at SYA?
Well, there's lots of support for students. We know that going abroad junior, senior year in high school, it sounds daunting, but really the only thing that you can't do while you're abroad is visit a school, because you can do everything else online. And so we also want to let you know, you do have, each one of our schools has a college counselor and an academic advisor for your child. So what that college counselor is going to do is still stay in touch with your child's college counselor back at their home school. And we're going to keep that line of communication open so that they can stay on track and get all of their forms in on time, get all of their applications in. We also all of the schools are registered test sites for standardized tests. so we can administer all of the SATs at all of our schools and the ACTs at all of our schools except for China. China doesn't allow us to administer the ACT, but students can also receive SAT and ACT prep at our schools, as well as they can take the AP exams at the end of the school year. Our students, I mean, they're living immersed in this language. So our students do score very high on the language AP by the end of the school year.
Yeah.
Actually, our average last year was 4.5.
Yeah.
And that includes students who began the study of Chinese.
Had never taken Chinese or Italian before. That's pretty amazing. So yeah, there's lots of support for the students. And students that go abroad as a senior, you know, we do just say have all your ducks in a row before you leave. It makes things a little bit simpler, but you know, for those schools obviously, and have things ready to go. But our college counseling is there to help you once you are abroad. And yeah, it's simple.
I think the other piece of the college counseling process is many of our students find that by going to SYA, they finally have something to say that's a little different than what they would have written about originally. And they have real life experience to speak about. I had one student that said every day I had a different essay I could have written for my college application. And I think that's really valuable to a 16 or 17-year-old. And certainly something that is memorable for an admissions officer who's reading that application. It makes them stand out, not only for the experiences that they had, but the fact that they can reflect on it and share some wisdom through what they learned.
They really are. They're really ready for college too by the end of this experience. I mean, they return mature, very sophisticated adults after this experience. And you know, there are a lot of other programs out there. Some schools will even have internal programs that are just a couple of weeks here, or you know, or there are summer programs, which are great too. We offer summer programs, some wonderful 5, and we have a 3-week trip this year experience for students. But nothing really compares to this full year immersion. So when colleges see this on a college application, that a student was brave enough to do something like this, to take this leap, it stands out. Our students are really, they're special.
And they go to college with a new purpose, because they've identified sometimes they go and find new things that they're interested in. They never knew that they loved art history until they were in Italy and studying art history and visiting these places, and they come back and it really defines what they do moving forward in a new way. And I just think that piece is really amazing for our students.
And we also recently sat down with Rod Skinner, who is the director of college counseling at Milton Academy. So if you haven't checked out our YouTube channel, there's a video of him there, and he talks about how it adds texture to their college application. It makes them more interesting people. Not that your child
that is a great, yeah, that's worth watching.
While we're on this topic, I just saw a question about are SYA teachers able to write recommendations?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes,
Of course.
Great recommendation.
Yes. And I'm sorry, I'm just watching these come in, and they're all about college.
And
that's why we're on this.
Our
we're on this
faculty are
topic.
happy to write recommendations with enough advance notice.
Oh yeah, and the college counselor at each of the schools will help the students coordinate that internally. How do colleges assess the application if the student is in their senior year? Same way.
Same. I mean, it's something that's going to come up in your application. And so while the full cycle hasn't gone through in terms of your development, just the fact, I think more and more colleges are looking for students who are good risk takers. They want to know that once you arrive on their campus, you are going to be successful. And they know that by you being able to take risks, kind of stand on your own 2 feet and make sure that the homework gets done, your responsibilities are taken care of. And they also want students who are involved in the community. They want people who are going to give back to that college campus. And so SYA students are part of this small community that then extends beyond to the local community. In France, it's Rennes. And so by getting involved in the extracurriculars, it shows that not only are you committed to SYA, but you're committed to living among another group of people. And that, to me, is something that's really valuable once you head off to college.
And in one of our videos, one of the students, I believe it was a China student, said colleges know that you're serious about what you pursue.
Yeah.
And that's what helped him stand
That was
out on
good.
his. Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
good.
Okay, so moving on a little bit from college, but we can come back if you have more questions, or you can always reach out to us after. LJ, travel. We actually have some questions about travel.
Yes.
And where students will go. And do you want to talk about the different types of travel at SYA?
Certainly. So SYA is, we have the beauty of being in these great locations. And so we want to maximize the learning that can take place outside of the classroom. So part of our curriculum, what's tied into it, is educational travel. So we do our best every year to get students on the road for at least 3 weeks. And that time frame varies. It could be a weekend here, a week there. But we're taking students to places that they're learning about, whether it's in their history course, their art history course, books that they're reading in English, in their English class. We want to get them out to have this very hands-on experience. I would encourage you to visit our website where we have our calendars for this year posted for this academic year, so you can see some of the places our students are going. In addition to the educational travel that we do, students are also able to participate in something called independent travel. Independent travel is an earned privilege that students earn by maintaining a strong academic profile. So they have to be in good academic standing. There can't be any disciplinary issues. And third, and most important, their language skills have to be developed enough where we feel comfortable sending them off. So we know that they can effectively communicate in the host country language. But independent travel could be the 3 of us decide, she's a huge soccer fan, so we want to go see a soccer match in Barcelona. And so we would.
That sounds awesome. Let's go.
We would put together a proposal to the resident director, saying where we were going, how long we would be there, what we were planning on doing,
exact
contact
trains we were gonna
information,
take,
all of our travel logistics, and then that would have to be signed off by the resident director and you, the U.S. parent. And then we would be free to go off and to see Barco. And so that for our students is really unique because they get to define what it is that they're doing. And a lot of times we find that our students are doing things that are tied to their educational interests. They're going to art museums on their own because they want to. And that's really cool to see. So independent travel is another piece that's really important. We do day trips, and a lot of this it's all done as the educational travel is all done as the SYA group. So you're going with your classmates, your faculty, the resident director. So this is really, our entire community goes on the road to visit places all throughout the host country. It's really not limited. In China, I think our best trip is we spend some time in Yunnan province during winter. We take the students out of the big city and take them to rural China, and it is quite an experience because it is so different than the life they're living in Beijing. So
I just, it made me laugh because when my daughter was with me in New York City last week, and I said, oh, I'm really busy with work, and I'm sorry, I can't go with you. If you want to go to museums, I can't go with you to the museum today. And she said, Mom, you have no idea how many museums around the world I've been to by myself. I'm like, true, okay. But
in China.
In China, yes. She's been all over China. So yes, our students become very independent, and they have a great appreciation, for the countries that they visit.
So, talking about, Donna, your experience with Karina, how did you feel when Karina came to you and said, Mom, I want to go to China.
Oh, she continues to come to me with, I'm going to go here. I'm like, oh, I'm getting used to it. I have to say that when she first came to me and said that she wanted to go to China with SYA, it was SYA was introduced to her through her home school, which was Hotchkiss, and Hotchkiss happens to be a member school of SYA. So SYA has 43 member schools, and SYA has been doing what they do for a really long time. I don't know if everyone's aware, but we actually celebrated our 50th anniversary this past summer, had a huge celebration. So they've been doing this a long time. So when Hotchkiss trusted SYA to take my child and travel to Beijing, I trusted them. So that was the first, my first instinct was, well, I'm gonna trust this wonderful organization that my daughter's school has put their faith in. But that said, I mean, I know that there are students that are coming from lots of different schools across the country, and many are not member schools. And so what my suggestion to students that are coming from those schools is, we are happy to help you present SYA to your administration at your school. Just ask us and we can give you some, talking points. We've worked with, counselors and parents to speak to administration. But for the most part, your credit should transfer, and it does with most of the schools that we work with, just about all. And but we do ask that the student take the responsibility and the family to speak to their school as soon as possible if they're thinking about this opportunity, especially if the school is not familiar with SYA. I know we all think, who wouldn't know SYA?
Right.
But there are some. So that is something that we do ask you to do. If the school isn't familiar with SYA, do get in touch with the administration as soon as possible, and we'll help you with that.
So, thank you. What about what Karina has done? LJ, we talked about college at length. How did that influence her college choice?
In every way, not just her colleges, but her major or her what she wants to choose as a career. I mean, Karina's experience in China really helped her to decide that she really wanted to pursue Asian studies as a major. So she is studying Asian studies. She has also studied international relations. She has a business minor, and now is thinking about an education minor because she would like to go to school for a master's and study global education policy, work with schools in Asia. So and she's taking Japanese this semester, and she'll either be in Japan or Cambodia this summer. So she is really, it has,
kind of ignited that.
It has.
Yeah.
So it's been SYA, as I said, in every way, in every facet of her life, but it's influenced it. The people that she met, the connections that she's made. She is actually part of 100,000 Strong. Now she's an ambassador for them. Gosh, I can't even care for Cambodia president. I mean, it goes on and on and on. But it was SYA is really what got her started.
Wow.
Yeah.
Japanese.
Yes. I don't know. Maybe I didn't mention that.
No, I didn't know that. That's exciting. Yes. Okay, so for all of you watching, we are going to start working through some of your questions if we haven't already talked about those subjects before. So if you have some more, keep them coming, and we will do our best. All right, so we talked a lot about college. We talked a lot about host families. Danielle wants to know if you get to speak with your host family before you decided on attending.
No, you do not. All host family placements are made over the summer. So this was designed when SYA first, came into existence in 1964. Our students didn't even know who their host family were before they left.
There was no Google. There was no MapQuest.
No, you had no idea. There is an adventurous spirit part of this that comes into play. And we ask that you trust us when it comes to the placement. We will take good care of your sons and daughters. What gets complicated when you are in too much communication with them too early on is sometimes people are trying to replicate the experience they currently have in their family, that dynamic, and that's not really the spirit of this. The spirit is to try something new. And our students do have to be flexible because they have to adapt to the ways in which the household runs through their host family. And it's a really good experience for students. And you will have opportunities to speak with them, to visit with them, but it's not something that happens until the summer when the placements are made. And even then, it's limited communication because in Europe, for the month of August, families are on vacation, and they really believe in their vacation in the purest form, and that means they are off email and phone, and they're really spending time with their family. But know that when they're traveling with your son or daughter, they're spending time with them,
Right.
because they believe in that family component and time away. They do. So that's a little bit more about that piece.
When Karina found out about her host family, and it was in the late summer, we did get a picture of her host family, and I don't know, we may have gotten an email address, but it had a little description of the family, and there was the brother and, his age and whatnot, and we had it on the side of the fridge, and we kept it there until she left, but we really didn't have a whole lot of communication with them. Karina wrote them a letter, which our students still do, but that was about it until she got there. And there's something that's really kind of exciting, and it's kind of scary but exciting at the same time, when all of our students meet at the airport and they're all going abroad together, or they're all meeting, at least some will meet us in the host country, but at the airport there, and arriving at the school and meeting their host families for the first time, as a class. It's just this, I got to witness it, when I brought the summer students over a couple of years ago, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful to see everyone's eyes light up, and everyone's like, they're nervous, but they're excited. And the host families are, so excited to have the students, and they're hugging them. It's wonderful. So we really don't want to, kind of ruin that moment, and so it's really it's great when everyone can just kind of wait.
And we see, pictures of the students with their host families, and sometimes we can't figure out who the French teenager is and who the American teenager is. It's really cool. You have to trust the process a little bit too.
And sometimes, so I came to SYA, and I'm not an SYA alum, but my family hosted international students when I was growing up. And so when I was 5 years old, Philip came to live with us from Germany. And we didn't really know what to expect, and I don't remember that well. I'm an only child, so he was kind of my big brother, and 25 years later, Philip's still my big brother. I Skype with him, I talk to him. His daughter is an important part of our life and my family. And part of the success of the relationship is both my parents and Philip came in not knowing a lot about each other, but committed to learning a lot about each other. And that learning process starts on day one and continues until you leave. But I think that's what allows our students to have such strong relationships, because there's commitment on both sides.
Oh yeah.
So
while we're on the theme of host families, how well do we know the host families? And we talked about this a little bit a few minutes ago, but we can talk about it again. Do they tend to host a student year after year?
Yes.
some
Yes. There was an alum that I spoke with when I was in North Carolina, and she told me that her host family had been hosting for 17 years.
Wow.
So yes, many stay with us for a long time, and generations will, return to host family. So they actually, it just goes to show that these are people that really do it because they love to do it.
They do.
They love to host our students.
They're an extension of SYA. Many host families then recommend new families to SYA.
And that is actually the only way that a new host family, a family can become a host family, is they do need to be recommended from a previous or past host family, above and beyond the other criteria that we have for getting them.
Many have personal connections to our faculty. So I mean, that in itself speaks volumes to the kinds of people that are interested in doing this.
Right.
Mhm.
The multi-generational thing is
It's
cool.
amazing.
We've been around long enough where we have host moms and dads who, when they were kids, their parents were the host moms and dads to
Mhm.
SYAers.
Pretty special.
And I've even seen one where it was a summer student, her host mom and her biological mom their biological mom did SYA. And so then she was staying in the family
okay.
of the
Yeah.
host mom was, yeah. So that was actually pretty amazing to see. It was really cool. So the other thing I just wanted to mention is the process of becoming the host family, and they have to have an interview with
we visit the home to
Yeah.
make sure that it's a suitable environment for our students to be living in. Every student has their own bedroom. We think it's really important that students have their own quiet space to call their own. I believe all of our host families have Wi-Fi now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that way our students have access to the internet day and night, especially for homework and being able to be in touch with you. So I think you'd be amazed once you learn more about our host families. And they come from a wide range of backgrounds, which is great for our students as well.
Yes, thank you. I think that's most of the host family questions about process. Donna, do you want to talk a little bit about, we have someone whose student is applying to SYA China, about free time to engage with the real Beijing on a daily basis. We talked a little bit about extracurriculars. Do you want to talk maybe about what Karina
Sure.
did and free time?
There's definitely, so students are pretty busy with between school and of course they have a lot of homework too, and their extracurriculars. So and just so the parents know out there, you know, students do have to be home by a certain time. They have to, you know, be home for dinner. There are curfews. Just so that, and they vary from country to country because of the culture. But as far as just going out and seeing Beijing or, you know, seeing the city, I mean, my daughter did that every day, you know, on her way home from somewhere, or she would she actually taught English to migrant workers at a hotel nearby, near the school. And which was a great experience for her. There really is no better way to learn another language than to try to teach English to someone that doesn't speak it. And she's actually continued to do that. She actually, when Karina went back to, she did half a gap year at Peking University after she graduated from Hotchkiss. And while she was there, one of the hotels had gotten in touch with her and said, "We'd like to pay you now to do it. You did a great job. You know, can you come teach English for her?" And then she still does it Saturday mornings online too. She still does teach English to students. Yes, but I'm way up the path. But she did have, you know, every day was an opportunity to, you know, get on the subway, get off somewhere, and, you know, see another part of town. I mean, she was the most amazing tour guide I could have ever asked for when I went to visit. She just knew parts of the city that you wouldn't know if you went on a trip, or, you know, even with your average tour guide. Our students really know
the best someplace in a 3-mile
they
radius.
do. And she did, and it's amazing. So she had, every day was an opportunity.
And all of our assistant directors of admissions are people that you can get in touch with if you have specifics about the other 3 countries, or about anything in particular with extracurriculars as well. Okay, well, let's also switch gears and talk. LJ, do you want to talk for just a minute about safety abroad?
Absolutely. So safety and security is our number one concern for all of our students. It is something that we are regularly thinking about. We have procedures in place to make sure that your students remain safe throughout the school year. There are procedures here in the home office that extend also to our sites abroad. We specifically chose not to be in certain cities so that our students had a more authentic experience. And we wanted to be we didn't want to be in Rome, we didn't want to be in Paris. we didn't want to be in Madrid for certain reasons. And that is so our students speak the language. They can't find those pockets of English. But two, some of those smaller cities are much safer, especially for Americans. And because of the nature of the cities that we're in, those cities see SYA as an extension and have welcomed us, and they take care of our students. And so there's a network that makes sure that your students are safe on a daily basis. I don't think our students know that we have eyes as many places as we do, but word gets back to SYA pretty quickly.
Yeah.
If anything is amiss.
I'm only laughing. I'm not thinking about something, but just, as far as just the lines of communication are wonderful from a parent perspective. So that's why I'm smiling. But should something, a more serious type of situation arise, SYA is acts very quickly in communicating with families and parents, and safety is paramount.
Yeah, your child's safety is our number one concern.
Even down to fire drills, and they do fire drills in the beginning of the year, just like they do at home schools. I remember doing those every September, even down to those smaller details. Let me see. Capstone. Who would like to talk a little about Capstone project, about sort of, let's see, the concept of our capstone? It is a little bit different than the AP capstone that someone's referencing. It's our own unique SYA capstone.
So the capstone is something so cool that our students get to participate in. It was originally called the Integrated Learning Project, and it was an opportunity for our students at the end of the year to take all of this new knowledge and experience that they had and to work together in partnership with their classmates and do a research project that was based on a lot of the things that they'd done over the last 9 months, and using the target language to communicate. So I really see I liken it to a senior thesis. I mean, it is based in research and field study, and then our students present it at the end of the year to their classmates and to our faculty. And that is something that I will say across a lot of schools, students don't have an opportunity to do. And they do it all in a second language. So the themes vary from year to year. China piloted this program, and it was unbelievably successful. And I think students really found it to be an engaging project that allowed them to kind of wrap their head around everything that they had lived during the course of the year. And so it's just kind of grown from there and has expanded to all 4 of our schools. And so I think your sons and daughters will find it to be a unique challenge, but also a really rewarding project to be a part of.
Similar on that academics piece, how much writing students do in the target language, specifically Spain, but we mentioned the language requirements. Just one of you want to talk?
Right.
Really?
So there is as I mentioned earlier, a 2-year high school language requirement in France and Spain, because classes are taught and students are expected to, to read and write, and at least a 2-year high school language level. So they are going to be
they're doing their homework in
They're
Spanish.
doing their homework in Spanish and in French rather. And so, but I don't want to scare anyone off, with that either. So just so that the families know, once the students arrive, within the first few days, they are tested for language fluency, reading and writing. I remember when my daughter took this test, she was upset and she said, "Oh, I failed." And I said, "There's no failing that. It's to help you, and it's to help SYA find what's a good fit, what a level of language ability that we don't want it we want them to be challenged, but we don't want them to be overwhelmed at the same time." So what happens in France and in Spain is that as the year progresses, and actually in China and in Italy too, as the year progresses and as students kind of their fluency increases and their reading and writing skills, the teachers are going to start to speak to them more and more in the host language as the students are able to, adapt to that. So, but the classes in France and Spain are, except for math and English, are taught in host language.
It's important to know that our faculty are used to teaching American students. So for them, this is what they do every year. They're used to teaching students who are learning how to speak in Spanish all day long. That's where our teachers are, that's where they excel. They're really great at bringing American students along in terms of their language development. So they'll get plenty of support along the way. We don't
Absolutely.
leave anyone behind. We make sure that everyone gets the support that they need to be successful.
And the students are incented because the stronger they are in their language fluency, the better candidate they become for being approved for independent travel. So yes, they will be doing, and science. Is science taught in the target language? Audrey, you want to talk about science briefly?
So we offer science courses in each of the 4 schools. Each science program is a little different than the next. In China, we offer AP Environmental Science, which is taught in English, with some Chinese language introduced towards the end of the year, but it's largely preparing students for the AP exam. In France and Spain, the environmental science course is taught in the target language. So it's taught in French and Spanish, which poses a unique challenge to every student. They're learning new vocabulary, but I think our students have really enjoyed it. And because it's an environmental science course, it's very much field-based. So they're going out and studying, and so that makes things a little bit easier. And then in Italy, it will be a new course for us next year, which will be taught in English. And then as the year progresses, we will do more Italian-based instruction. But it's a great way to keep up with science for the year.
Right, be able to check that box.
Exactly.
LJ, briefly about medical insurance and how illnesses are handled.
Great question. So through SYA's tuition, we offer comprehensive medical insurance for all of our students. We also have relationships with local doctors and hospitals. So if there were to ever be a medical emergency or even something like a simple cold, we have doctors and medical professionals that we can consult with and that students can see abroad. So those pieces are all in line.
We even have students that will go abroad with allergies or, that need to continue with certain medication and whatnot. And we have, it's not necessarily the closest hospital, it's the best hospital that we're affiliated with. So, if there are those types of concerns too, just so you know, we do have students every year that need to see a doctor on a regular basis for whatever reason, and we can accommodate them.
And all of that information, if there's any concerns, once a student is accepted, it's part of our enrollment forms that we work with.
It's part of those many.
Once your students are accepted, we have a lot of forms.
It's lengthy.
Yes.
We cover all
regularly.
bases.
Yes. Let me see. I'm not sure if I know off the top of my head about basketball in Spain, so we can get back to you, Willis, on that one. A competitive high-level club, I want to say.
Across the board in Europe, sports are pretty high level.
Yeah. I know that we have a less formal team where we play against Spanish students because they tweeted us all the time. but I'm not sure that's a high level club, but we can get back to him on that.
We've worked with a lot of students to get them involved in high level athletics abroad. So
sometimes it's like a college level, kind of club team or something like that. I had a girl play on a that I spoke with. She played on a semi-pro volleyball team in Spain. Cool. Yeah.
We had a student win a national hockey championship
on
a Spanish hockey team.
So yes, lots of extracurricular opportunities for sure. And if you do have specific questions, you can always email us or email our ADAs. Okay, I think that covers most of our questions, unless anyone wants to sneak one in. Independent travel. can students organize trips outside of their host country?
That really varies. We try to keep our students in the host country as much as possible, because the ultimate goal here is
Language immersion.
Yeah, so we want to keep them in the target language. That being said, if there's a spring break or something and the opportunity arises for something really cool, they could bring that up with the resident director. So that those travel outside of the host country is handled on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, thank you. New science class in Italy, someone missed. Do you want to just recap 3 seconds?
So
Environmental science.
it's an environmental science course.
Yeah, it's going to be like an earth science kind of thing where, they're going to be.
This course will be taught in English to start the year and then move to more Italian-based instruction by the end of the year. It was presented to the SYA home office very recently, and it sounds fascinating.
Yeah, it does.
So for the foodies out there, just a little spoiler, I mean, it's going to be a pretty cool science course.
Yeah. Okay, so if there are any more questions, you can always email us at sya.admissions@sya.org. I'll also put that information in the chat box after. LJ, do you want to talk briefly about deadlines?
Yes.
Yes.
So our application deadlines are fast approaching. Students interested in applying for one of our merit scholarships or the Halsey Scholarship, that deadline is February 1st. Students interested in the general application deadline, that deadline is February 15th. That is also the financial aid deadline. So again, it's coming up really quick.
But yet there's still time.
There's still time.
Oh, yeah,
Lots of time.
Just to cover what the application itself entails, part 1 is largely biographical information. My recommendation to your students would be to submit that as soon as possible. It gets them in our database, and then we can follow up with reminders as to what pieces are missing. Part 2 is an essay and some short answer questions. And then in addition to that, we need a transcript, 4 letters of recommendation, English teacher, math teacher, language teacher, advisor. And then every student has to have an interview with an alumni interviewer. Excellent opportunity for your son or daughter to learn more about SYA, because they're talking to someone who lived SYA. And so those are the pieces that are necessary. For merit applications in the Halsey, there's an additional essay that's required for that. And for merit, there's also an additional recommendation.
Any other thoughts, ladies? You know, one thing that no one asked that I just thought of, visiting.
I was, I was
when
gonna say that.
Usually someone asks.
Usually someone does, and just how to stay in touch and whatnot. And so I will say that we encourage students to stay abroad for the full school year. So, as far as coming home over the holidays, we would rather, if you can, go visit them. We realize that not all families can do this. This isn't a possibility for everyone, but if you can do that, that is encouraged. There's a 2-week break over the holiday from students go on break around the 19th of December for about 2 weeks. And if families want to come and visit during that time, they are welcome to, and they can go. It's an opportunity to maybe travel locally and let your child be your tour guide, but you can also take them, you could travel with them to wherever. But with that said, I also just want to make sure that parents know that our host families are responsible for your child through over the full 9 months. So if you're not able to go abroad, or you're going to only go for a portion of the break, your child has a place to be. And actually, my daughter went on vacations with her host family too. She went to weddings. She went on a trip to a resort in the mountains. I mean, so they treat your child like their own. And so, whatever they're doing, your child will be going with them. So don't worry if you can't go abroad. There's also a spring break time too, where some families will visit.
And what about keeping in touch?
And keeping in touch, just real quickly, I mean, it's so easy nowadays. We
You
have,
could do this. You could
I
have a
mean,
Google
we-
Hangout with them.
you could do this. We have an alum that actually you probably received some correspondence by now from Pam Eaton she's our admissions office manager. And when she went to SYA Spain way back when, she said she wrote to her mom like a few times, like it was
Right.
like
and it was
letters.
a big deal to
It
like
was
go
a
to the
big
post
deal,
office.
right?
Yeah.
So we're very fortunate in this day and age that Skype is something that I did with my daughter all the time. It's very easy. Actually, I want to be clear, like not all the time. I mean, we Skyped maybe once a week. And
Which
you know,
is what we recommend.
which is what we recommend. I mean, you
Once a
don't really want to, you want them to be having their own experience. You really don't want to be kind of, hovering over them while they're abroad. But, and sometimes what my daughter would do too is she had what she called her little Chinese phone. It wasn't, instead of getting a data plan at the time when she went, it was expensive a few years ago. So she, I think they probably still are, the data plans. So she ended up just she has an inexpensive little phone that she uses when she goes back to China. And she has a little SIM card for it, and she buys the calling card. You can do that in any one of our countries. You buy the calling card at the newsstand, and for, I don't know, $10 you get, like a few dollars, you get all these minutes. And so she would just call me with the time difference while she was walking to school. Hi, I'm on my way to school. Hold on. I'm going to stop for the cars. Oh, wait, now I'm going to stop for all the bikes to go by. Okay, now I'm crossing the street. And we'd have a little conversation then. And then sometimes she'd Skype me from school, just, during when she had a free period or something like that. So we did keep in touch, easy enough to do. And there are lots of free apps that you can get on your phone now, lots of them. So easy, inexpensive ways to keep in touch.
One last question, and then we're going to go. One parent travels to Europe. And is it possible to drop in for a day?
It is, absolutely.
Yeah,
Just all we
absolutely.
ask is that you let us know.
Let us
You
know.
can drop in. Because our staff wants to meet you, our faculty, our resident director. So absolutely, when you're in the area, please come say hello.
Yeah, we parents do that a lot.
Just give us a heads up. Give the RD a heads up.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will put this information down the bottom, but if you have questions that we didn't get a chance to answer or that I missed, I apologize. Please email us at sya.admissions@sya.org. I mentioned before our blog. Go check that out. There's so many student stories of our current students that are there right now. So you can get a feel for what daily life is like directly from the students. You can also visit our YouTube channel, School Year Abroad, youtube.com/School Year Abroad, and see some of our videos on there. We have videos from current students, we have videos from some alums, we have videos from the Director of College Counseling at Milton Academy, past parents, all kinds of videos. So check those out. And we look forward to reading all of your children's applications.
Yes.
Don't forget the deadline for scholarships, Feb 1, and the deadline for financial aid and our regular application is February 15th. So best of luck, and we hope to be meeting all of you next year at departure meetings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good night.
Bye.